Hi everyone, sorry I'm a few minutes late here, about 5 minutes coming on here, but I'm here now, and for this episode of The Extreme, we're going to talk about anything you guys really want to talk about for the Ísland Extreme Triathlon taking place in Iceland in a few weeks. So this is the last opportunity that I personally will have to get on a podcast here to just answer your guys' questions, go over a few things last minute. We're going to try and come to you live, whether it's just once like this from Iceland before the event, before most of you travel out there. Or we'll bring you a series of live recordings from around the course when we feel like it's relevant to do so. So we're not exactly sure how we're going to do that on site, but we want to bring in some of the people that have helped make this possible, which is our Iceland crew. And so right now it's just me. I live in the Detroit area. My name is Aaron Pallian, ExtremeTries.com. I'm one of the owners and race directors. And so living here in the U.S. for a international race like Iceland has its challenges, but we've been lucky enough, as I've said before, that we were able to find a crew out in Iceland that's very experienced with putting on triathlons, has the gear, has everything we need out there. So they've been great. We don't really have any problems that we've had come up. So far, smooth sailing. We put out the start list today, and as a lot of you see, we're under 100 people. We've had some questions as to whether or not the event's going on. Guys, we would never do that to you. We appreciate the question, but we're going to have the event. If we weren't, it would have been decided a while ago. We wouldn't do something where, you would book your flights and hotels and all that, a lot of which is non-refundable, and then pull it out from underneath you at the last minute. The fact is, we're very excited to have, I think we're high 70s, and we're very excited to have those. We expect a few more before race day, maybe 80 total registered, and hoping for just as many to start. So we're super excited. It doesn't matter whether we have 80 or whether we have 350. Same amount of work for us, and means the same to those athletes that are out there. Remember, X-Tri is about your experience with not only nature and the landscapes and conquering that, but also from within, and that competition is really with yourself in X-Tris and even swim runs, those types of events. It's more of an adventure and an experience versus some of the races you guys might do where you've done them 100 times and it's about your time and about how fast you can go and all that. So we really hope that you guys enjoy the experience and coming out and doing this race. Today, I'll probably go over the course a little bit again, because those are most of the questions that we get, and water stops and some of the equipment. I'll kind of briefly touch on a lot of the stuff, but feel free, because this is live, you guys can post comments and they pop up on my screen on my end. So I will be looking at that, and as you post them, I'll answer them. I might answer them right away if they're kind of fitting into what I'm talking about, or if they don't, I'll wait till they do or till the end to do so. So post your questions at any time, please, and I'm just going to start going through the stuff. And guys, this is kind of a repeat of some of the webinars we've done. We have a webinar on equipment, on support, and on the maps and the courses, but I'm going to do a brief overview of that stuff real quick, just a refresher for you guys. The start list, like I said, was posted today. The guide, which is really just a summary of the website, maybe it'll have a few little things in there, but it's really just a summary of everything on the site, something you can download in case you don't have good reception when you're there or whatever. You can download and have that on your phone or on your iPad, computer, whatever. So that should be done in the next day or two, hopefully tomorrow, and I'll have that posted. And then yeah, any updates we make from there we'll announce on social media, email, website, and we'll update the guide. The reason we wait so long to do the guide, at least with these first year events, is because some things change last minute. It's like that with X-Tri in general, but first year events especially. So we just want to make sure that we wait as long as we can, so we're not updating things all over the place and missing something or whatever. So just be aware there will likely be some changes and updates once we get to Iceland as well, but I'll go over some of that right now. So let's dive into this. Shift some stuff around on my screen here. The athlete guide, it'll be a Google document and on our Drive account. So you guys can access that. You can download it as JPEGs, PDFs, whatever you want to do, however you want to download that. It gives you a bunch of different options for that. Lars, yeah, good to see you again. Yeah, you'll see me in Iceland, see me in Hawaii, whatever you guys are doing, I'm there. So I will be at all of the locations. Wanted to announce that unofficially too, for those of you that did Alaska or are interested in this coming year, the date shifts to the 27th instead of this year. It was the 29th of June. We're kind of locked into that date because they don't want us in July because of the fishing season, which is understandable. Traffic's higher. People are a little more irritable trying to get out there fishing when the traffic's bad. So out of July, and being in June, we don't want to be in the solstice, although I would like to be. There's a lot of events and things going on. So, and there's other stuff earlier in June. So, and the water's colder. So we're kind of locked into the end of June. I don't foresee that date, the last Saturday in June, changing anytime soon. So that'll be the 27th next year, just to put that out there. And let's get back to Iceland. Hold on. I'm going to share my screen with you guys. 1 second. Okay. So you guys should be able to see my screen now. This is the homepage, extremetries.com. Something real quick about that, guys, that I haven't really talked about. Tony, who's my business partner in this, and also co-race director. You guys have seen him out there, long hair, beard. He lives in Houston. I live in Detroit, and we kind of just meet up at these events to put them on. So something that we wanted to do was come up with a great domain that was easy to remember. And we used to have separate domains for all of the races. Now it's extremetries.com. And our goal in the future is to kind of be the hub, not just for our races, but kind of just an information hub and maybe for other races as well. Not really forming a series or anything like that, because those are already out there. We don't necessarily want to step on the toes of those people. But first, who knows what the future holds, but our goal initially is to be that hub of information, to be that place you go to just check out everything that has to do with Extreme Tries. So we feel like the domain extremetries.com is a great one. You guys will remember that pretty easily. And most of our stuff is branded with that. As you can see, the shirt I'm wearing in Alaska, the pin flags marking the course, the tape, and now we have 20-foot banner, or not banners, I'm sorry, wing flags that are going to be at Iceland that have that logo and branding all over it. So just kind of explaining where that came from and how it ties in. Each race will still have its own identity. It has its own landing page. So for instance, extremetries.com/AKXtry or /ISLXtry or /HIXtry are all of the landing pages per each of our events within the website. So we didn't want to take that identity, but it's easier to unify something. Same with Facebook, Extreme Endurance Events, which we're trying to get changed to extremetries.com as the name, is kind of the hub for all of our events and information going forward. So that was our vision for that, at least for the immediate future. So you can see my screen now. Let's go over, obviously Alaska's done. We're on to Iceland here. Let's talk real quick. Okay, just checking the feed here, guys. Thanks for the comments, Fernando, about the logo, and good to see you too. So I'm just going to click through every page real quick. Some of them will be super quick, others won't. Registration, you guys have already obviously registered. Let me just point out that if you register for more than one, Alaska and this, or this and Hawaii, you can submit for a multi-event discount, whether you take advantage of that before or after as a reimbursement, whatever. If you do more than one of our events in a calendar year, let us know. We want to reward you guys for that because we know it costs a lot of time and money to come do these, so we really appreciate that. Pros get half off on the entry. You can, and I don't know if we went over this, you can't get a refund on your entry, but you can transfer it for a fee to one of our other events within the same calendar year. We cannot put it to the next year in any way, shape, or form. But for instance, if you couldn't do Iceland, you could transfer that to Hawaii if you wanted still. So, and actually the date might be past there, but you know what, if you still want to do that, let us know as soon as possible. So with this registration, you're going to get your entry, of course. You get a swim cap, silicone swim cap. And then it says number tattoos. That should have been deleted. I apologize that that's on there. We're not doing the number tattoos. And the reason, especially for Iceland, is because you guys are going to probably be bundled up, and any tattoo tattoo on your skin is just not going to show up. It's a waste of money on our side. It's a hassle for you. It just doesn't make sense to do tattoos for Iceland. And we thought Alaska, but it ended up being 90 degrees. So that's why we don't have the tattoos anymore, guys. It's just pointless. You'll get your number stickers, which is going to be your helmet, one on front and each side. You're also going to get one for, or two for your bike, one on each side of the frame. You're going to get bibs. You're going to get a run bib specifically and a bike bib. On the run, it faces forward. On the bike, it faces backwards. And each of those bibs are specially designated for that split because on the back this year, we have a map of the course. So Iceland's probably, well, Iceland and Hawaii are probably the two courses where that map, if you were to get lost, which I can't see happening, that map might actually come in handy. With Alaska, all the turns on the trails and everything, I don't know if you'd be able to figure it out. It'd be tough. But with these two events, it's extremely easy. We have the road numbers on there and everything, and these are simple courses as far as directions and turns and all that. So if you were to get off course, you could probably get yourself back using your phone and using the map that we've provided. All right, so you're also going to get your swim cap itself. It's silicone, like I said, red. Something I forgot to mention about that is that they will not have the numbers on them. We will give you stickers for your swim cap. Some have said in Alaska that it didn't stick on the cap. Others said it did stick. Try and put them on the cap. So you'll get one for the front and one for each side. Put them on there real good. See if they'll stick. If they don't stick, no big deal. Just throw them out if that's the case. We are going to mark you with a marker, Sharpie, whatever, on the top of your hand when you get in the water. That'll be our way of identifying if we need to rescue you or whatever, it'll be on your hand. Also, we're going to check you into the water through our system when you get there. And then when you get out, we'll obviously be taking your time. So we'll be able to tell who gets in and who gets out. So that's how that goes. You'll get a wristband. It'll be a blue wristband for the athletes. Wear that during the event so we can further identify you as an athlete. And then for support, you're going to have a white wristband. It'll have the athlete number on it. And the support wristband, along with the shirt that you're going to get, support crew, your shirt will be blue. That will be our way of identifying support going in and out of transition and helping you. The reason for the shirt and the wristband is that if you're support and you're only doing, because remember at this race, you don't have to have support on the run. You have to have it on the bike though. So support on the bike could just use a shirt, same in transition, no big deal. But if you are doing the run, that optional support for the run, most people aren't going to want to wear that support shirt on the run. So the wristband is how we identify the support runner. So if those are separate, if you have more than one support, we want you to put the shirt on the person doing bike support mainly and in and out of transition, and then the wristband can go on the support runner. If you don't have a support runner, you're doing it alone, just put both those items on the one support person. So hopefully that makes sense. GPS tracking is done via your phone. So if you're coming in from a different country and you don't get reception or you don't have a plan in Iceland, a lot of people, when they came into Alaska from out of the United States, they went to somewhere like Walmart in the U.S. or I don't even know if there's anything, Walmart's over there. I know there's a Costco, but somewhere that you can replace your SIM card and get a short-term plan, or if your carrier like AT&T for me allows me to do an international plan, and I think it's $9 a day, unlimited everything, which is great. So just check into that, because we do need your phone on. You do need to have reception when you can have it. If it's available, you need to have reception on your phone, a working phone, and you're going to have RaceJoy, which is our way of tracking you. It's actually better than a lot of the trackers you'll get at some of the other races, but it's got to have a charged phone, and you've got to have a plan internationally that allows you to do that. Your support, mainly your support, is going to be responsible for turning that on in transition, because obviously you're not going to have it in the swim. So just make sure they know how to work that. It's downloaded. You've gone through it. It will not allow you to start or do a run through. It boots up on race morning, meaning you can kind of check to make sure you're on that start list for it, and all that. And so anyway, we'll go from there. Sorry, I'm reading this while you guys are listening to me. Something that, Eric, you just chimed in there saying RaceJoy got it. I'm not actually 100% sure it'll work over there. I think it will, but it's a U.S. program. So let us check on that. And I apologize. That's something I just thought of. So I'm going to have to ask Tony. I think I assumed it worked. I'll get back to you guys on that. Okay. So scrolling down here, finisher shirts, obviously you see one color here. There's not a low course, high course, any of that. It's all one course. We're going to do everything we can to extend those cutoffs if we need to. But right now, those cutoffs are there for a reason. We want to open up roads, get people off them, that kind of thing. So try to make sure you hit the cutoffs we have on the site. If you do that, you'll be good. If you're close, we'll try to get you through, but no promises, guys. Everybody gets the same blue shirt. If you don't finish, you don't get it. All right. Next page is start list. I don't need to go there. That's self-explanatory. Schedule of events. Thursday before the race. So packet pickup, it says to be determined. There's a civic center that we're about 95% sure is good to go in Olofsvik. We don't want to list it on there until it absolutely is, but count on packet pickup being in Olofsvik, which is also where our finish is. And we'll post the address for that, but you drive in and it's right there on the right between the road and the ocean there. So that civic center is also where we'll do the briefing and where we'll have, if you want to sit down, post-race technically is right at the finish line, but it's not going to be this big party or resting area or where we would serve, like we're going to try and have some type of like stew or something hearty and warm. We won't have that at the finish line. You'll have to walk from the finish line, cross the road to that civic center. As of now, that's what we're planning on. And once that's 100% in the next maybe week or so, we'll list that on here with an exact location. But then brunch the next day is going to take place from there. So that's our hub, is that civic center area that's real close to the finish line. So that's packet pickup. The social swim we're going to do from the swim start area, same as we try to do for all the events. So you can find that on the map. I think we have coordinates listed. If we don't, we'll send those out so you know how to get there. And then parking for that will likely just be on the street there because you don't need to get out and go support your athlete. It won't get clogged up. So more to come on the social swim. Packet pickup on Friday, 9 to 2, and then 3 to 4:30 will be our athlete briefing. And all of that again at the Civic Center. Saturday, race day. 3 a.m., you're going to be dropped off at the swim start by your support. I'll show you the whole path of that, which I've already done in the course map webinar, but I'll go over it again in a minute. Basically, though, you come in with your support. They have everything in the car for you. You do not go to transition first. Your support drops the athlete. You go down the street. There's a little like cul-de-sac U-turn area that's wide enough to swing your car around. Once you turn around to head right back out, it's real simple. You open the door, athlete gets out, and they're gone. They're at the start. Support then takes all the athlete stuff, the bike, and all the things they're going to need for the bike and to warm up. And they're going to drive down the road. They're going to park. They're going to walk all that over and set it up in transition. So the athlete will not get to set up their T1 area. So make sure you go over that with your bike support so they know exactly how you want that set up. So just know you will not have any control over that race morning. If we see athletes in transition T1, that's going to be an issue. We're not allowing that. It's just too big of a possibility to get all mixed up in there. So you drop the athlete off. 3:15, shortly after transition will open. I'll show you where parking is going to be there. The athlete briefing at the swim start will happen at 3:45. 4 o'clock is when the swim officially starts. So from 3:45 to 4, whenever we end our announcements and any ceremonial type stuff we have, we'll let you get in the water if you want. You don't have to, whatever. We'll have a lead kayak that'll lead you guys out. I can tell you right now, the water has not warmed up to the point, at least right now, where I think we will have the full 2.4. But that being said, we're not officially saying it's going to be the 3,000. That's kind of standard with really cold water X-Tri swims across the board in this world. It was shortened in Alaska, and it was a good thing because it was freezing cold. It was under 10 degrees Celsius, 50 degrees Fahrenheit this year. So, guys, I don't really care to hear people tell me, oh, I can swim that full distance, and even if it's 46 degrees or I guess that's 9 degrees Celsius, like no problem. You shouldn't shorten it. Keep it 2.4. we have to think of everyone, guys. So keep that in mind. There may be, if we have 100 athletes, there may be 10 that have no issue swimming 2.4 miles in freezing cold water like that. But our job as race directors is to keep the majority safe and get as many people not only out of the water, but to the finish. So while we appreciate your abilities, we have to think of everybody else too as a whole and think of, on average, what most people could do. So 3,000 meters is typically that distance in that cold water. So it could still be 2.4, probably going to be 3,000. If it's 3,000, I'll show you the adjusted course. Transition closes 15 minutes after the start of the swim. So your transition can still be being set up by your support once we start the swim. No one's going to finish in 15 minutes. Then support goes out of transition. We're not at this time going to have it all barricaded off or fences up. I mean, this is a super remote area. There shouldn't be anyone out there besides people that are part of the race and part of the support crews. We'll have some people on our team kind of overlooking things, making sure no one's taking anything, but it's really the least of our worries. I can't imagine that would happen, but we'll keep an eye. So we're just going to trust you guys and your support to come in and out like you should and not make it crazy. So 6:20 is the overall course cutoff for the swim. 2:30 is the bike course cutoff, and 11 o'clock is the run course cutoff. As I said, if weather's a problem, if wind's ridiculous, which it could be, if it's really cold, which it could be, we'll do what we can to help you guys with those cutoffs, but don't count on it, please. Once all is said and done, Sunday rolls around 7 a.m., and we'll let you know if we adjust this. If we could go another hour on all this to give everyone a little more sleep, that'll be great. Let's kind of see what the next week brings. But as of now, it's 7 a.m. The store will open for an hour. At 8 a.m., we'll give out the finisher shirts. 9 o'clock is the group photo. 10 o'clock is the brunch. And 11 o'clock is the awards presentation. So if you want to be there specifically for any of that, know that we may adjust that by 30 minutes, kind of condensing it a little. That proved, I had that same setup in Alaska, and that proved to be way too much time. So I may condense that in the next week, but that's overall going to be the setup. All right, no other questions so far. Let me go to packet pickup. Let's see how my time's doing here, guys. Oh, not bad, 22 minutes. Let's see how quickly I can do this. So like I said, packet pickup address is most likely the Civic Center in Olafsvik. We'll get that updated as soon as possible, but count on that unless we tell you otherwise. Both packet pickups, and they're on here. Rules. So you got to have a government ID, something, and we don't care what government. This race is probably more international than any of them we have. As long as you have a government-issued photo ID, whether it's a license or just a photo ID, whatever. Passport will do the trick. You must pick up your own packet. Nobody can pick up your packet for you. That's the rules at every triathlon on earth that I've ever been to. And hold on, guys. Sorry, my dog's going nuts down there. Let me close the door. So next is your age is determined by how old you are at the end of the year. So if you've had a birthday already, that's your race day age. If you haven't, it doesn't matter. You've had that birthday in our eyes. So who's required to be part of the packet pickup and the briefing? You have to have at least one of your support there. We would prefer that's the captain. I would designate the captain of your support team, if you have more than one, as the person that's in charge of your T1, your T2, your bike support. If you have someone else and you choose to have a support runner and that's somebody else, I would definitely make sure that the captain is the one in charge of the bike. Because the runner, that's going to take some energy to do that. And it takes a lot of energy doing T1, T2 and the bike. So if you have two, call the captain the bike. Anyway, one of your support, preferably the captain, has to be with you at packet pickup. This is always an issue for some reason. We state it on the website and tell everyone a million times. Make sure you have support, preferably captain, at packet pickup with you. So something on here, I have to update this, but I'm telling you guys right away. Bring your helmet that has a USPS, or not USPS, I'm sorry, the inspection sticker. I always get it wrong, but the CPS or whatever it is sticker there. US is not required because this is not a US race. It is not USA Triathlon sanctioned. And part of the issue we've always had with helmets is that they're inspected in the country they're made. And when we have people outside of the US coming in, they don't have a US helmet. And USA Triathlon requires that for insurance. For this, we don't need that. It just has to have an inspection sticker. We cannot accept a helmet without one. Okay? Bring your helmet. Bring whatever you have that's bright. So if you have a vest that is bright, high vis, and reflective, those two elements it has to be, bring that. If you have a bright top that you're wearing that's not reflective, but you're wearing, a lot of people in Alaska had those reflective cycling suspenders, and you're doing a combo, bright top and the reflective suspenders, bring that. Whatever you have that is a one piece thing or a combo of bright and reflective, bring it. Now, I don't have that on there as required. I'm telling you to bring that because if you don't bring it and we look at that when you exit transition, then the problem becomes you have zero time during the race to fix that problem. It'd be a hard sell for you to convince us to let you go when I'm telling you now, bring it to packet pickup so you have a day or 2 days to figure out how to either borrow something, go back to Reykjavik and buy something, whatever it is, you have time to fix it. Okay, so make sure you bring those two bike items. Obviously, you need the front white light and the back red light. You need your phone. The other required items, we're just going to trust that you have those. Those aren't really subjective like a top is to kind of inspect it and say, oh, that's bright enough or reflective enough. So we're going to trust that you have those. If you don't, you will not be permitted to leave transition. Okay. Run pack, same kind of thing. We are going to inspect that before you go on the run, but bring it to packet pickup because then you'll have a chance to fix it if it's wrong. Okay. And in Alaska, I eliminated all the warm stuff I require in the run pack. The reason for that was because it was 90 degrees. So in Iceland, it is almost certainly not going to be that warm, especially up on that mountain. It's going to be super windy, most likely, and very cold. So I'm almost certain that I'm not eliminating any of that, but if something changes, I'll let you know. Okay. I have the event waivers on here. Again, not the same as the U.S. race. You guys have already, all the athletes have all signed the athlete waiver that we have, the one for us. You signed that when you registered. The only thing you'll have to do is your support will have to sign a support waiver. None of them have done that. So we will email that to you and or have it available there. You could bring it with you or fill it out or whatever, but all of your support that's taking part in the event, whether that's 1 or 2 or 3 people, we will need to have a support waiver from them. And anyone that you have to change that you haven't done already from registration as your support, like maybe they've changed or you're adding a person or two, we're going to have to know that and record it so we know who's out there during packet pickup. So be patient with us on that, guys. Okay, so the other thing you'll get is your support vehicle. You'll get a sticker that says basically that this event's in progress, warning anyone passing the vehicle if they can read it to slow down, use caution, that kind of stuff. I will say, being in Iceland, being in Hawaii, Houston, Detroit, all over the place, and Alaska, Iceland is the safest place I've ever seen as far as cycling. There's not a lot of cars, especially where we are, and they are very supportive from what I've seen. Don't be surprised if they scare you a little bit by honking when they go around you. In the U.S., usually when people honk, they're telling you to get the hell off the road. But in Iceland, we found that when people, I'm sorry, we didn't find this in Iceland, but Norway when I was there and Scotland, when they passed us and honked, they were being supportive and they were waving. So I'm assuming that's the same way in Iceland. We weren't riding, so I don't know, but I can tell you that it's going to be a lot better out there. So just know that, and don't be surprised if you're pretty happy out there on the bike. All right, so course maps and cutoffs. I'm going to try and make this as quick as possible. Again, 6:20 for the swim, 2:30 for the bike, and 11 o'clock for the run. So along the way, we may institute cutoffs depending on how someone's progressing. And that can mean how weather is affecting them or whether they're not trained up for it, whatever that means. For instance, if you need to be, let's say, 100K into the bike by X time in order to be holding the average to hit 2:30 p.m., and you're nowhere even close, and we look at that and say, wow, in order to make the rest of this bike, this individual is going to have to bike 60% faster than they've already done the first 100K, we'll pull the plug. I don't At this course, I'd prefer not to set specific areas where we're cutting you off because the wind can really affect that. The wind can come and go quickly. It can come down from the mountains, be gone after just a little bit, or it can stay all day. So I'm asking you guys to trust us in wanting you to finish. And along the way, we will implement cutoffs based on ability and weather and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to give you every single opportunity, and we're going to at least abide by what we have online here at 14.42 miles an hour, which is 23.2 kilometers per hour. So the rolling cutoffs we'll establish as we see how the day progresses. And that goes for the run as well. This run's a lot easier for us to manage because it is a dirt road that goes up over the mountain the whole time. So there's plenty of room to access you guys, to find you guys if we need to, for whether it's emergencies or cutoffs or whatever. It's not like Alaska. There's no wildlife that is going to harm you in Iceland. There's no mosquitoes either, which is freaking awesome. So there's a lot less for us to worry about. So we can be lenient on the sectional cutoffs for things. So swim course, real quick, guys. I don't see any other questions. If you have any questions, let me know as I'm going through this, please, by all means. So swim course, as you can see it now, we have a couple buoys out here. And the reason it would kind of zigzag like this is obviously to get the distance in of 2.4 miles, over 4,000 meters. So, I'm sorry, 3,862 meters. Alaska was over 4. So if it's cold, like I said, what we're going to do is it'll go from this green start here, mark, to the finish. Straight shot along the shore. It's about 3,000. So real simple. Kind of the same as Alaska, what we did there, point to point, straight shot, and go. So we're not going to have lights at the finish, like generator type lights. It's just not going to work. We can't get them out there as of now. If that changes, we'll let you know. But we'll have 2 huge 20-foot flags out there for you guys to sight off. We'll have kayaks in the water. Sorry, excuse me. And if that happens, you'll end up just sighting off the land on the left, on your left, and kayaks on your right, and just keep it a straight line until you reach the exit. So, all right, guys, that's pretty much it for the swim. Simple. So, ask questions if you have them. Bike course. That is a saltwater swim, by the way. So probably not going to get all that much colder. When we were out there, we saw moon jellies, which if you've done Kelpman, which I have, I can say that moon jellies are fun to swim through. Get your heart rate going, because you see a jellyfish and you think, oh shit, I'm going to get stung or whatever. We can't guarantee there's none in there that would sting you, but from what I can see and knowing that area of the world, those are going to be mostly moon jellies. If there's any change in that we know, we'll let you know. But you're going to be almost completely covered. You can wear gloves if you want. You don't have to. So at the end of the day, all that would be exposed would be your face, neck right here, and your hands potentially. So just know that's going on. We did see some seals while we were there, possibly even a sea lion, which we have in Alaska, and they tend to keep their distance. So they weren't even on our course. They were hanging out over by the bridge. So let me see. A question just popped up. Feeling that if you get lost somewhere on the course will be the place. Oh, yeah, I guess if you're saying, Eric, that it's the place to get lost, then yeah. I mean, the thing is, if you look at this on this map, guys, I don't know how you would get lost. We operate under the assumption that once we put you guys on a road, you're going to stay there until we tell you to turn. So any of these little offshoots or highways or whatever that turn left or right or whatever, they're a turn. They're a 90-degree turn, or they're a road that's completely different from what you're on. So I wouldn't expect you guys to turn unless we tell you. So how we're the course markings, because of the wind, we're going to our plan is to have vehicles anywhere that there's a turn with a big duct tape pink arrow on the back or on the front or wherever you can see it, however it's pointing you in the right direction. The color for all of our races this year is bright neon pink. We'll have some pin flags, but I don't know how well they're going to stick in the ground. Being a volcanic country and island, it's going to be rough. So look for the arrows on the cars. Know the map, which you have on your bibs, remember. And then also we have the non-sticky, just the marker tape for like trail running. So being as there's very little trees in Iceland, especially on our courses, those will probably be on the ground wrapped around rocks, things like that. They'll always be on your right. You drive on the right side of the road, just like in the US or most other places. And the other thing we'll do is we'll use that duct tape that we put on the cars. We actually will put that down on the road as well. And we'll try to give you warning with it. And that's how we're going to mark this course. May have some big flags up, but probably just the vehicles, the tape on the road, and the flagging around rocks and things. So you come out of the swim and you're going counterclockwise on the bike around the entire Snæfellsnes Peninsula. And you're going to go all the way around once. You'll get back to where you started the bike at the swim. And you'll do the section between the swim and T2 twice, effectively. So it does repeat just a little, but it's not much. Let's see, it's 25K or so, maybe 30K that repeats out of the entire race. So keep in mind that this bike course is longer. It is 195K, 121.5 miles, 4,000 plus feet of gain, and a hell of a lot of wind, most likely. And as you can see by the elevation chart, there's a lot of rollers to look out for. And that doesn't just go for the hard climbs. The descents on some of these are a little nuts. It is technical in some areas, so just be aware of that. There's not a huge shoulder at all, but the road is very good by a lot of standards that you've probably ridden on. When there's not a shoulder, which is most of it, there's really not a lot of traffic. And like I said, the drivers tend to be much, much, much better in these areas than they are in the US, unfortunately. So, all right, that is really kind of it for the bike. So just looking at this, though, you're going to shoot past the signs we have and everything on your initial loop in T2. You'll shoot past Ólafsvík. You know that you have to see that twice, so don't stop the first time. It's only going to be 30K in. So you'll, or maybe 35 even. So you'll go around. There won't be any signs really anywhere here because you're just staying on the road. There's no turnoffs that would be confusing at all. The first spot you're going to see a vehicle with a big arrow or any significant marking probably is going to be all the way over here at like 130K, where you turn off 54 to go up 56. So they have names, guys. I'm not very good at pronouncing Icelandic words. We're trying to get better. So I'm just going to refer to the number here, which is total tourist thing to do, I think. But 54 is this bottom road you're on. Turning left to go north on 56, there'll be some type of marker there. And then here, turning back onto 54 on the north, there'll be another marker because those are actually somewhat confusing areas where you might need to know. Other than that, you're good to go. Okay. Hold on one second. I have a question. Let me read this real quick. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, I'll answer the support question for the run in just a second because we're on to the run. So that's it for the bike. I don't see any other questions here. Let me get rid of these. Okay, so going down here to the run. So once you get into T2, and let me just tell you, there's a nice little climb at the end to get to T2. You guys will be hating us for that, but it's fun. You're not going to be doing it fast. It's through like a hillside neighborhood, which is really cool. And guys, keep in mind, you shouldn't be crossing over any runners or anything, but just be aware that they're kind of running out the way you're coming in on the bike. Even if you're on the opposite side of the road, be very aware. Ólafsvík in that area is very busy because by the time you get off the bike, there'll be tourists, there'll be people getting gas, maybe support getting gas. There's only limited gas stations and things, so that's kind of a central hub there. It's not fast through there. I don't see it as being anywhere near as dangerous as the intersection that we have in Alaska like that, but it's still something to be very, very, very aware of. Don't be an arrow when you're turning and all that crap. It goes without saying, but I have to say it. You go up the hill, you get to T2. T2 is the coolest T2 I've ever seen. I absolutely love it. It's almost this raised platform in the middle of this like valley where you can see the ocean, the coastline, the road, and then the mountain behind you, the waterfall down in the valley where you finish. You finish below T2 by this waterfall with these ruins and things that are over there. So it's this really cool overlook of everything. And I'm so excited that we have that and we got the okay to use that. So that's where you're going to be. You'll run down out of that, down that hillside community. You'll run across or run along the highway for a minute here, and then you'll turn onto the mountain road here. And this goes up all the way up over the mountain, over to the other side. It's just a straight shot, guys. This is a true out and back course. Super easy as far as navigation, not easy as far as weather and toughness of the climb. It's all dirt, the entire road. The only paved section of this whole course would be over here when you're running like out of T2 along the highway, and then when you come back, obviously. Once you get over the mountain here, you're gonna descend almost down to the highway. And then just before you'll turn left, we'll have some marking here and some flags out here at the turnaround. You'll run along this path, which descends a little more gradually in over to this tourist parking area where there's, I believe, a waterfall there, and it's kind of a tourist attraction. But you'll turn around in that parking lot, or just before it, I think, is where we have it, and you'll come back. So it's an out and back, and not everyone likes out and backs, but I will say just in driving this, it was unlike any out and back I've ever seen. It literally looked like two completely different courses because the scenery going out is obviously different when you turn around and come back. You're looking at what was at your back when you were going out. So that's not often that is that much different where you actually notice, but with this it is. You hopefully will feel the same way we did and just be really wowed and blown away by how different it looks on both sides. It's not something I necessarily would recommend poles for. If you want to bring them, it might help you if you need them on descents. I can climb, but I'm very bad at descending. And I can say that I likely won't use poles when I go run half of this or even the whole thing before. I would do trail shoes, obviously. It's going to help. A little bit of slippage as you run with non-trail shoes over a marathon or more adds up. A little bit of potential for injury during it. Just get some trail shoes and wear them. Other than that, it sounds like a stupid recommendation, and I don't know, maybe the Icelanders that are listening to this are laughing at me, but when I got out at the top of the mountain and the wind was nuts, it was blowing, picking up gravel, blowing it in my eyes. It actually scratched my sunglasses that I had on. Not horribly, but I was surprised to see that, shut the door so hard I almost lost a limb in that thing. So my point is, though, my glasses actually came off, and something small, but I would actually carry a pair of ski goggles on yourself. Even if you don't end up using them, better to have them than not. Have maybe ones with clear. I know you can exchange the shades that are in there, whether it's clear or polarized or whatever. I personally would invest in that. I'm probably going to buy a pair before I go out. One, I want the marketing photos. I think it'd be awesome to have the only try where anyone's ever worn ski goggles. But two, I actually think it would seal off your face very well. If it's really cold, that's a good thing. If it's really windy and blowing dirt around, very good thing. So think about that, guys. I don't know. It could be a ridiculous suggestion, but I would definitely consider it. Support on the bike. Let me go back to that real quick and stop as many times as you want. They have I've been told it's not law, but it's kind of this unspoken thing that you're not really supposed to just pull off the side of the road in Iceland. And that's because a lot of tourists will just do that to take pictures of horses or sheep. They don't do it safely. They block the road. It's ridiculous. We saw it while we were there. So we understand where that comes from. However, you guys are doing it for a reason. We would expect if you do it, you get off the road completely, shut the car off, close the doors, kids stay in the car. You're not on the road, you're off in the gravel waiting for them. You're being safe and respectful, but pull off on the pull-offs whenever you can. And we can take note of where those are and let you guys know. We don't have that right now, but we can let you know in the week or two prior to the event. I'm sorry if that's kind of last minute. But we can do that so that you have more planning as far as safely pulling off. You can pull off wherever it's safe to do so. Both wheels are off the white line. You are safely off the road. But keep in mind, for most of us, we're in someone else's country, and they have been so gracious in letting us do kind of whatever we want to do with this race. We want to show them that appreciation by not being disrespectful. So keep that in mind, guys. The other thing is, obviously, everything you bring into these courses, you bring out. No litter. If we see that, it's a DQ. May even ban you from this race because it could affect our business with them going forward. The other thing is, if you have to take a shit somewhere, there's not going to be a whole lot of porta cans out there. We're going to have some at the swim start / T2 and at T1, and then again at T2, but that will be it. There'll be no other restrooms. So carry toilet paper with you and in your support car. If you have to go, try to find an area that's low, go in there, and bury the most you can, biodegradable, keep that in mind, that kind of stuff. We don't want to see a bunch of toilet paper blowing around, okay? Make sure nothing's going to be blowing around, all right? And it's out of sight. And use some humility if you do that, please. The last thing we want is for a tourist to be driving down the road and see your bare ass taking a shit on the side of the road. So if you can find areas to kind of duck behind or whatever, much appreciated. If you have to use a support car to kind of block you, that's good too. So, okay, enough about the run. Let's talk about support specifically on the run. So you do not have to have support. You can have support for the whole thing, or you can have support for the first half or just the second half. So if you have it for the whole thing, you better make damn well sure they can run the whole thing. We had, for the first time, a lot of support runners in Alaska that couldn't handle the last 10 only miles on the mountain. We had a lot of people leaving their support and us having to threaten to DQ them and trying to hook them up with other runners or getting them back to their support. We want to avoid that. Take it very seriously, guys. You do not have to have a support runner for this. So we would expect if you do have one, they can handle it. Okay, whether it's half, first or second half, or the whole thing. If it's the whole thing, no problem. They park in Olesvik, they meet you in T2, you put all the stuff in the car. It's temporary holding in transition. So all the stuff has to be in the car, however you get it there, before you guys start running. You check in with us, you start your run, you do the whole thing, you finish. Super easy. You can't drop your support. If they drop, you have to wait for one of us to come get them, somehow for them to get safely off the road. And at that point, you have to wait with us or however to wait for another runner to come up and latch onto them. Then you have to keep their speed. You are not running I take that back. I'm very sorry. I'm in support mode for Alaska. You do have to wait for us to pick your support up. Do not just leave them if you take it. But once they're picked up, you could go on your own then because it's not required. I apologize for that. So we just have to make sure we get the support off the road if they're having problems, okay? So if you do the first half and you need to have a car at the second half to bring you back, I don't know how you're going to do it. You've got to have a couple support people probably, and the one that's not running drives the car over to the turnaround, picks up the support runner after they're done with the first half, brings them back, and you run it in on your own. If you reverse it and you do it the other way, same thing. Support runner drives out, hopefully with another supporter in the car, so the car's not left there, but whatever. If that's the case, you got to figure out how to go get your car at the end. And then when the runner runs the first half on their own, gets out there, pick up the support runner, you guys run back together. If you're having one support runner for the first half and another for the second, that's actually the easiest one to kind of split up. Second support runner just takes the car out and waits for you guys, and then you just swap support runners, and the first support runner drives the car back. So you guys get it. Figure it out. Get that car out of there and just figure it out. If there's backups on the road, that's not something as far as support runners that we're worried about because you don't have to have one to do the run. So on the bike, if it's backed up, it's backed up, guys. It's first year. Shouldn't be. There's not a lot of traffic, so I don't know what to tell you. Alaska, we have a backup plan, but that's because that highway is notorious for having huge backups. So, yeah, I think that answers it. Let me see. We'll give you either a dispatch number or some number to call in case your support runner is having trouble. If you're in an area with no reception, you guys are going to have to walk it. Those areas with no reception, we will definitely identify as our logistics, and we'll place people close enough where we can kind of roam those areas. So if you're in there and it is more of an emergency where you can't walk it, obviously, we should have some people close by in that regard. If you had to leave your support runner to run backwards or forwards and find somebody, whether it's us or another runner or whatever it is, to get help, obviously that's permitted, guys. Emergencies, do what you got to do. Okay. Okay. So I believe. So the app for tracking right now is RaceJoy, but like I said, I actually am not sure if that works over in Iceland. So let us look into that, and we'll get back to you guys. I, again, apologize that we didn't think of that. I think it was mentioned at some point, but forgot about it. So we'll find some way to track you guys, and we'll let you know exactly what that is in the next week or so. So I think that is close to being it. This is turning kind of long, so I want to wrap this up. If you have any questions, put them in, guys, while I'm going through the mandatory gear super quick. Obviously, you need your wetsuit all the way to your ankles, all the way to your wrists, and the wetsuit 5 mil. We're going to stick to that rule. However, if you want a thermal vest and that adds a little thickness underneath, by all means, add the thermal vest. I don't care. We're not playing by USA Triathlon rules for this. And, you know, we kind of adopt the ITU rules for it, but there has to be exceptions. This is just too cold of water. These are different events. And eventually, I think there will be a universal extreme triathlon rule set that's adopted for every race in the world, I would hope. And maybe we can be the pioneers of that. But for now, just you're fine adding a layer under that. You can wear a hood, but it's not mandatory. You do have to wear a cap and booties or socks. And gloves are not mandatory, but the booties or socks, whatever you want to call them, and the cap is definitely mandatory. And then the silicone cap on top of your neoprene one. Obviously, goggles. You want to swim in salt water without goggles. Good luck with that. Helmet, we already talked about. Face shield is not optional. You do have to have sunglasses or a face shield on that helmet. For as windy as it is and the little gravel pieces that may get blown around, it's not even up for debate. You cannot leave transition without a face shield or glasses. The high-vis tops, reflective lights on front and back we talked about. Mechanical supplies, have enough to change your tube, and I would carry an extra tire on you, a couple canisters of CO2, carry a bike pump in your support car if you can, if not a ton of CO2, but you can't really fly with them. So they do have bike shops in Reykjavik if you need stuff. Just look into that, and we can provide some of that information if needed. Hydration, nutrition, whatever you need, that's up to you to carry it on you and to carry it in your car. I would always carry as much on me as possible, even if it's more weight, because you never know if support's going to get held up in a traffic jam or the car breaks down or something happens, whatever it is. I don't want my day ruined because my support car is not there when I need them. So fill up whenever you can. Cell phone has to be on you at all times. That'll be the way we track you. We'll let you know again what that is. Basic first aid kit. If you guys have some type of like pressure bandage or whatever in a bag, that's all you need. I don't care about all this advanced stuff in these big first aid kits. Something to stop bleeding if you have bleeding going on, okay? And obviously, if it's bad enough bleeding, you may not be able to stop it. You may need to use some part of your apparel as a tourniquet or whatever. But I'm talking just regular road rash, or you trip and fall and get cut, whatever it is, something to address that. Run gear, same thing with the medical kit. You need a whistle and a compass. The whistle is essential. We haven't even ever used one, I don't think. But the second we say it's not essential, you'll need it. So a whistle is a very good way for us to hear you from far, far away. Distress, it's a good thing to have. The compass, you have a map on the back of your run bib, so you can kind of tell which direction you're headed. If your phone craps out, you don't know where you are. I can't imagine you ever needing one, but the compass is great. You can have it on your phone as an app. I don't recommend it because, again, if your phone craps out, but we're going to allow it to be the app on your phone. So let's see, sunglasses or the ski mask or ski goggles, whatever, face shield, something on the run to kind of go against all that debris that could be flying around. And you got it for apparel. hat, gloves, extra pair of socks, long sleeve, lightweight, water resistant jacket or base layer, something like that to go with those items. I get kickback on this every time I ask for it. Guys, I have enough in my closet. I could go get every one of those items, maybe even 2 of them, wad them up in a ball that's about this big and shove it in a camelback. So it doesn't need to be something that takes up a huge suitcase on your back. So please don't complain about that. You have thin stuff. I didn't say how thick it had to be. Just put it in there and you'll be good to go. Okay? Mandatory gear, done. I'm not going to go over all the rules, guys. I went over a lot of them already, just talking. Read through the rules. Support team, I already went through most of that. You can read through the rest of that or whatever I didn't on there. Results will be posted. Finishers, brunch, and awards. We're going to award top 3 male, top 3 female, and overall masters, female and male winners. Masters cannot double dip, meaning they can't be part of the top 3 and get masters. When you're top 3, we pull you out of the contention for masters, and everyone else is eligible. So that being said, everyone is eligible. If you're a pro, great. You start at the same time as everyone else. And if you're a pro and you have your butt handed to you by somebody, so be it. They earned it for the day. There's not a massive amount of prize money or anything for this event. It's more bragging rights and just something for the resume. So if you're a pro and an amateur beats you, they had a hell of a day. So that's how it is, guys. Bike transport, flying with it. Hopefully you guys have figured out bike boxes, how to get your bike there, whether that's shipping or flying with it, flights and rental cars, lodging, and all that. Okay, so we're done, I think. Can we get CO2 at packet pickup? As of now, I'm going to say no, we're not going to have that. I won't guarantee we don't, but I don't want to promise you something and then not deliver on it. So when you fly into Reykjavik, which I would assume everyone is, when you fly in, there's bike shops there or a bike shop there. Look it up. We can look it up also. Just remind us, post to the group if we don't come right out and say that. And we can kind of hook you up with where that is. Just go in there and buy them if you want. I would attempt to call or email ahead of time. The great thing about Iceland, one of the great things, is that they all speak English very well. Some of them better than some native English speakers. So they're going to understand you. Just request, say, hey, I need this. Can I order it ahead of time and have it for pickup? I'm sure they would do that. So on the run, no, you can't record. That's something I want to make very, very clear. Support cars are not permitted anywhere but at T2 and at the turnaround point. That's it. Support cars are not permitted to be driving over the mountain. If we see that, you're disqualified. The mountain is steep. It's rocky. You can get over it. I mean, I saw little dinky cars going over it, no problem, but they were still bottoming out and probably wrecking the bottom of the car. It is slow. It does take a long time. It's not going to be an effective way. We don't want cars stopped all over the mountain. It's just not going to happen. So we have aid stations about every 10K on the run. So make sure if you're the athlete and or support that you have enough on you to be able to fill up and make it 10K. And don't, guys, when you calculate things, do not calculate a flat normal 10K that you're used to running as far as your caloric intake and what you have on you. I would go another 50 to 60% more, if not doubling it for some of you, especially if you're a flatlander. Go overboard, because if you don't, you're going to spend more time out there than you thought and you're going to be in trouble. So keep in mind, every 10K we have water stops, and then you're going to see maybe your support vehicle out at the turnaround. I mean, heck, maybe not. Maybe your support is only one and they're running the whole thing, or maybe they aren't going out. They're just staying in T2 waiting at the finish. Plan for that. We don't know how you want to do that, but they are not permitted to go over the mountain on that road. Okay. Okay, I think I addressed most of these anyway. So thank you guys for logging into this. Went a little longer than expected, but hopefully that was some good information. Feel free to post all your questions you have either to the Facebook group or, even better yet, email us. I don't care. You can direct message me if you want. Whatever it is. Yeah, we're here for you. So lots more information to come once we get boots on the ground in Iceland. In over a week, maybe a week and a half, I think we'll be good to go there. So, all right. I guess that's it, guys. Thanks a lot for joining us, and I'll talk to you later.